Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 14 of AMT's Star Trek USS Enterprise. Scale is 1 to 650. In this part, I'm going to be putting the finishing touches to the model, putting the decals on and the varnishes and so on. The next video after this will be the final review, so this is a little bit of a shorter video just to finish off the build. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So I've left the varnish to dry overnight, and it's now time to place on the decals. And for this part, I'm going to be fast forwarding this process. The decals themselves are a mixture of the decals that are supplied with the kit, for instance the ones I'm putting on now that you can see on the screen, and the decals that I made up myself. Now the decals are going in the normal way, getting softened up in some warm water, applying my decal solution, which is the micro set that I'm using. Also there's microsol as well. This just helps make the decal conform to the actual surface and helps it stick a little bit better. Now as I'm putting them on there, some of them you'll see, well, most all of them don't stand out that well because it's a dark background. I actually quite like the look personally. My one niggle was the unicorn, the yellow decal that I placed on the bottom part of the saucer section. Really didn't stand out at all. So I'm glad I put the bottom one on first. I'm not going to be placing the little one on the top, the original plan, because you can't really see it because of the background, which is a shame in a way, but it's just because of the pattern that I decided to paint in. Even if I made them a little bit lighter, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Also, I'm not sticking to a particular set of decals from the kit itself, so from the pilot to the original and so on. I'm just putting on what I like, really, because this is what I've built. So I'm just putting on the top section here, the registration mark. Initially I thought it was a little bit too large, but once it was embedded in, it actually looked quite good. I mean, the black lettering was the exact same size as the kit provided, but of course I added the red and off-white background to it as well, so it slightly increased the size of the decal. I didn't take that into account for some reason, I don't know why. So I thought, oh, they might be too large, but as I said, once I got them embedded in to the model and the decal solution sort of done its thing and shaped itself into the contours of the model, I think it actually looks quite good. So I left the decals to dry for quite some time before going on to the next stage, and this is just placing on the parts that are yet to be going on. So the lower dome and the deflector dish is going on. As you can see there, I'm putting on the lower dome. Now this is a clear part, and I used a clear lacquer spray from Halfords, and what that does when it goes onto a clear part on certain acrylics, it fogs it up, similar to if you had a strong glue and it'll fog up a canopy. I wanted this sort of fogging look because I didn't want it to be clear and see into it, because you really can't see a lot of detail. It'll just be a cut out disc, and since I'm not making a bridge or anything to go inside, the easiest solution was just to fog it up. Now the deflector dish is going on here. I had to make the hole slightly larger for the dish to fit, but it was only a very slight adjustment, and I just done that by placing my hobby knife in and twisting it around to open up the hole a little bit, and then the deflector dish just popped in. And it was the same for the dome on the upper side of the saucer section, just a small amount of cement, but I wasn't worried about any fumes because I had already dolled up the dome anyway with using the lacquer spray, and it just popped in its housing without any problem. Next is the varnish, and I'm using Winsor & Newton matte varnish here. Now the reason for the matte varnish is I thought it just looked better. I didn't want it to be too shiny, so I'm just putting a thin coat of this varnish on. Now when you're putting a matte varnish on, one, you have to make sure your surface is completely dry or whatever else you've been doing, or you'll end up with a white chalky effect. As well as if you put the varnish on too thick, you could get a chalky effect as well. So just bear that in mind if you're using a matte varnish. You want it on quite thinly, and try and keep if you're brushing it like I am, try and keep your strokes even as possible. It also helps if you have a dedicated brush to varnish as well. This is a thick flat brush that I'm using, and I only use this brush for varnishing. I don't use it for anything else. If you're using the matte varnish on an airbrush, you'll have to thin it down quite a lot, but be aware that sticks more than a paint does. So each time you're going to have to deep clean your airbrush. But for airbrushers out there, they'll know about that anyway. And besides, I just concentrate on conventional brushing. And of course, it goes without saying as well, don't rush this process. It is tempting just to slap on a bit of varnish and be done. Treat it like painting. You want the thin, even coats, and for a total coverages as well. Pick a starting point and then work your way through that starting point. And don't worry if your brush overlaps with your previous stroke. Just go over that overlap, and more importantly as well, hold your brush lightly. Don't dig down on your brush, because you'll end up getting lots of brush strokes that way. You also want to bear in mind as well, if you're using a dedicated varnish like Winsor & Newton, they are going to take quite considerable more time to dry than say the Pledge clear polish that I use as a general varnish. Here, Airfits, well, Humbrol varnishes take a hell of a long time to dry, so you want to take that into account. But as I say, it helps with doing the thin layers, because that will speed up that process. So I've let this dry overnight, and I actually think it's too flat. The matte varnish has done everything it should do, but it's just too flat. I don't like it, so I'm going to change it. So I'm going to be using the clear lacquer. That's the clear lacquer I used for the canopy dome, and I'm going to put a coat of that on. Well, things didn't go as planned. I put the clear lacquer on and it was too shiny this time. So there's a clear lacquer I put on, and it was just too shiny. Light was bouncing off everything, and you couldn't see anything at all. So I'm changing it up. I'm putting on this satin coat from Humbrol. This is a very old bottle they use. I hardly ever use it, so it's a bit of a risk. But I used it anyway, and left that to dry overnight. And this is the result. So I've got that eggshell look that the satin coat does, and I'm more than happy with the finish now. And this is will end part 14, a little bit shorter than normal. If you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell to be kept up to date with this build and all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.